we have a Quinnipiac poll from Georgia. And I'm pretty surprised by this one too, okay? Georgia, I wouldn't even call Georgia a swing state at this point. I would still call this a lean Republican state at both the federal and certainly at the state level. And here you've got a poll from Quinnipiac that has, incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock up 10 points on the Republican Herschel Walker. 10 points. So well out of the margin of error. And then this one surprised me too. For governor, Kemp tied with Abrams. Now, it's one poll, guys. It's one poll. Could be totally off. And, you always have to assume that these polls, because this has been the trend in recent years, are undercounting Republican support. I think you still have to assume that that is the case. But if Democrats, this at least shows Democrats are very much in the fight on the Senate race in Georgia. And if that's the case, we also saw this Pennsylvania polls. Pennsylvania Senate that has Fetterman up about 10 points also on Oz. Right. Surprising. I was looking at Wisconsin. Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are the two opportunities Democrats have to actually increase their seats. Ron Johnson, incumbent Republican senator running for re-election there. He is down a little bit to all of his Democratic competitors, save for one, this Lazary dude who's like some billionaire heir, terrible, whatever. So they still have their Democratic primary going on. But, I'm looking at these and I'm a little surprised that the polling shows Democrats as strong as they are in some of these places.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Georgia, well, first of all, grains of salt. Right? I mean, I also remember,
100%.
What was it? Wisconsin, right before the election, ABC said that Trump was losing Wisconsin by 17 points.
Right.
Also said Pennsylvania, he was
Didn't
down
work
by 12.
out that way.
In Georgia, I believe
sure.
they said he was within a couple of votes. So listen, you should always take that. Like I said, the general rule is probably add 5 to 7 for Republicans. But also, Trump is not on the ballot. He's usually the X factor whenever it comes to these things.
That's
I
true.
have no idea how it's going to play out. I don't see a world where Brian Kemp is actually tied with Stacey Abrams. It's not 2018. It's a completely different national environment. But Warnock Walker is a terrible candidate. There's just no other way to say it. He's awful.
He really is disastrous.
He's got so many kids, apparently. So, look, he also probably suffered some head trauma. His interviews don't appear to go particularly well. His son is a real jackass on TikTok. Apparently, the campaign has been seizing on that.
Oh, really?
Warnock is an appeal. Yeah, he's like, he's like a rich boy, whatever, likes to flaunt his wealth. Fine, you're right. But the problem that I see is that these Warnock is a very good candidate.
He is a
we
good
did
candidate.
well back in 2020. Yes, he did beat Kelly Loeffler, but he has really staked out a position where he's not in the news as some firebrand lefty, which is what people went after him as. That was what Kelly Loeffler kept calling him, radical socialist. Raphael Warnock, he's tried to mostly govern as a centrist, kind of keeps his nose.
Kind of kept his head down.
Him and John Ossoff are doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
They really don't want to get attached too much to Biden, so I do think that he's doing the best he possibly could. I do see a world where Warnock could win and where Brian Kemp could win too, given some of the cross-partisan appeal and just given candidate quality where it does matter. But look, again, an interesting data point. It's certainly also possible that this could lead to suburban metro turnout from Atlanta, the Dobbs decision on abortion in order to back somebody like Raphael Warnock. At the same time, it's also the same state that passed a 6-week abortion ban bill. So,
Well, yeah, true. But then that kind of argues in favor of, well, maybe that's impacting the governor's race.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because the abortion politics, while as we've discussed, it matters at the national level because you have some Republicans pushing for a nationwide abortion ban. It's really relevant at the state level. So, it's possible that it is a big factor in keeping Abrams in the race there. I don't know. Again, the flip side of this, put the third element up on the screen, is you had more than 1 million voters switch to Republicans from the Democratic Party. Now, in every cycle, there are party switchers, but you had more than 1 million people becoming Republicans versus about 630,000 who became Democrats. And a lot of, some significant portion of these million who have switched to the Republican Party are coming from those like suburban enclaves where you had very strong affinity for Joe Biden and very strong sort of like revulsion at Trump, I should say more than affinity for Biden in 2020. And so now granted, this came out before Roe versus Wade was overturned. Like these numbers reflect that landscape before Roe is overturned. But you know, this is obviously very dire for Democrats, the number of suburban voters who were saying, I'm with the GOP now. So that's the flip side of this argument. Again, overall, I still would say my analysis is when you have massive inflation, negative growth, when you have 80% of the country saying you're on the wrong track, it's going to be bad for the party in power. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that. I think Cook Political just moved 8 more races or something like that towards the GOP, so they are still very much seeing the trend being in the Republican Party's direction. However, couple of little interesting contrary data points that are worth pointing out here.
I think that's exactly the way that I would put it.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.